DramaCityProductions.com.
You are plugged in for the Podcast Wrestling Society, where you can get dynamic weekly pro wrestling and MMA-related content. Give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PODWRES Society so that you can stay in the know.
Space is the place, and the sky's the limit.
And if you like what you hear, give us a 5-star review and hit that subscribe button.
Woo! 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 Woo!
Now, your host, he is the
One and only
Troy Adams.
Hello and welcome everyone from all corners of the planet to be one of the 5 that strive to survive. Here on the Podcast Wrestling Society, I am your loving leader, benevolent host, and Midwest monster, Troy Adams. And with me today, he is the Bailey to my Sasha Banks. He is my co-host with the most, Kyle. What is up, Kyle?
Well, I think that's the first time you've ever compared us to women.
You and I? Yes. I have dubbed that honor on Greg and I in the past, so I think it was either last week or the week before we were the Iconics. So, trying to change it up here a little bit.
I gotcha.
Equal opportunity here on the Podcast Wrestling Society. The society is hashtag for everyone. So, yeah, major shout out, by the way, to everyone who listens, whether you are in Sweden, Norway, the UK, Canada, or right here in America. We have listeners from mostly European countries, but, all over the world. And we have a lot of listeners in Texas, New England, here in Ohio, of course, out in California, all over the place. And if I missed your state, I apologize. There are listeners from all over, and we appreciate you all. We love you all. You are deep in our hearts. Thank you very much for being a loyal listener. And Kyle, I didn't tell you this. I told Greg recently, our listenership actually jumped up within the past week. I don't know why, but apparently the word is getting out more, so we're getting more listeners.
That's always great to hear. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Oh, yeah. People have actually went back and listened to our review of Evolution and our post, and all the things that happened post-Evolution. And they also listened most recently to our review of Crown Jewel and all the fallout from that. So thank you very much.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely.
And, of course, thank you to all of our listeners who also enjoyed our many episodes on the Vince Russo era in WCW. Part 6 is coming up next week. We will have, I believe, 7 parts to that, and we'll finally be cutting it off. But people have been enjoying that, been going back and listening to the archives. Thank you very much. And it's been good.
That's something you don't hear a lot of people talk about, the Vince Russo era of well, I almost said Raw there, of Nitro. So.
Yeah, I know it's
probably for good reasons, I guess. But
yeah, people don't do deep dives into it, and the thing is, people have heard retrospect about it, or you can go back and watch the real bad parts. But and there are some good stuff to it. Don't get me wrong. We're not just sitting there for hour and a half or however long, just sitting there completely crapping on it, even though. Mostly we are, because it is comedic and, stupid. But there is some decent stuff, and we cover that as well. But we also do a deep dive into all of the craziness that went on. Not just the real big stuff, but just everything surrounding it. Definitely go back and catch yourself up on all of that. We very, very much appreciate it. And also, go check out our YouTube and subscribe. People, subscribe to our YouTube, because the more you do, the easier it is for us to get a custom URL. So we don't have to keep posting that little tiny URL thing.
You need, 100 subscribers?
We do, yes. So all of you out there within the sound of my voice, if you have the ability, go to YouTube. You can go to YouTube right now while you're listening to us. Search for the Podcast Wrestling Society. Give us a subscribe and tick the little bell. There's plenty of content. Last week, we had for Survivor Series week, we had a lot of content, a lot of special content, a lot of Survivor Series watch-alongs, as well as our top 10 list that we had. I believe it's either last week or the week before we had our first ever new exclusive YouTube exclusive news on there. So we don't usually do that. We try to, if we have news to cover, we try to cover it on the podcast itself. But last week it was going to be a long show, so we trimmed it up a little bit, and it was what it was. So yeah, definitely thank you all. And yeah, now that we're done doing all of that, I really quick want to let you all know about our Redbubble store and our other new merchandise store. So there's two different places you can purchase merchandise now for the Podcast Wrestling Society. If you want to get some great swag from the podcast, there are two places you can go. The first place is redbubble.com/people/pod-rest society. That's PODWRES society. There you can see our whole portfolio of artwork that you can get on a number of different items. There's the podcast logos. There's some HCW-inspired stuff. There's, I don't know much about wrestling. I'm only an avid fan. There's the Mark written letter to Vince McMahon. There's We'll Set Him on Fire, Then He's Gone Forever, Bro. You can get it all on a variety of different swag. Also, there is a new merchandise shop you can check out. It's shop.spreadshirt.com/podcast-wrestling-society. It's a long address, but trust me, it is worth it. You can get #JunkHand out of nowhere. You can get loving leader, benevolent host, and Midwest monster inspired by me. We have plenty of clothing and accessory items for both men and women. You can get the swag on t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, hoodies, ball caps, mugs, travel mugs, water bottles, phone cases, stickers, buttons, tote bags, duffel bags, whatever you want, we more than likely have it. If we don't offer some piece of merchandise that you would like to have, just hit me up on social media. You know the tags at PodRest Society, and we will try to hook you up. We are adding more and more artwork by the day to our Spreadshirt shop, and we have plenty of stuff over at our Redbubble shop. Again, that's redbubble.com/people/pod-rest society or shop.spreadshirt.com/podcast-wrestling-society. We will get you rolling with some great Podcast Wrestling Society swag, and you too can have the look, bro. And while we're at it here, before we get into the subject at hand, I definitely want to let all of you know about our association with WrestlingWithWrestling.com, which is a great website that I will try to be posting more content on, here, real soon, because I've kind of slacked off on it a little bit. But yeah, definitely go to the website. Right now, if you go to WrestlingWithWrestling.com, there's a lot of great stuff to keep up with. There's the news and reports section where you can keep up with all of the news that we don't get to cover here on the Podcast Wrestling Society. You can also see updates on the NXT UK show, Pro Wrestling Noah from over in Japan. See rundowns of Raw and SmackDown. You can listen to some great interviews with legends of the ring, as well as Impact Wrestling stars and indie stars from here in America and abroad. You can also see clips of wrestling matches from here in the States and abroad as well. There is the podcast section where you can keep up with us, the Podcast Wrestling Society. You can also keep up with the Andre Corbeil podcast, the MLW Fusion podcast, and many, many others. Go to WrestlingWithWrestling.com right now. WrestlingWithWrestling.com, covering all four corners of the ring. And that is it for now. I will talk to you a little bit later about how to advertise with us and become part of an official paying member of the society. It is well worth your dollar. So definitely stay tuned for that. But Kyle, are you ready to cover all things NXT WarGames 2, NXT TakeOver WarGames 2, and WWE Survivor Series?
Let's do it.
All right. There's a lot of fallout from the shows as well on Raw and SmackDown that we will cover. A lot of craziness with these shows. It's very much a tale of two shows, in my opinion. But it's usually that way when there's a takeover. But it's more of a tale of three shows because it's just like, I don't know, there's craziness on Raw and SmackDown, but seems more like, I don't know. You and I talked about it before. I love SmackDown usually. SmackDown not so much. Or SmackDown, Raw not so much. Like,
I tend to have enjoyed SmackDown a lot more than I enjoyed Raw this week.
Yeah, that's 9 times out of 10. That's the way it goes for me. So, it's very rare that I don't enjoy SmackDown. Very rare that I do enjoy Raw. So that
I guess not to spoil anything here, but I guess the higher ups don't quite enjoy SmackDown as much as we do. But
yeah, clearly. But we'll get into some of that later and why certain things were the way they were. And also, you and I are going to Starrcade this weekend.
Yes, we are. Cincinnati, Ohio, U.S. Bank Arena. It'll be the second time it'll be the second time you and I have actually been to that very place this year, so that'll be fun again.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so it'll be a big show, and we'll cover all the things going into it and all the changes that may or may not occur. But let's dive into TakeOver WarGames here. It was originally booked to be just 4 matches, but we ended up getting kind of a 5th match.
I'd say, do you really want to count that as a match?
Yeah.
The bell rang, so I guess it was.
Yeah. Well, the show started off with Matt Riddle coming out, and I'm like, well, what is he doing here? And the whole crowd is crazy for him. They're chanting, bro, bro, bro. I love Matt Riddle. Haven't got to see much of him in the ring, but from what I heard, he's fantastic. But I'm waiting to see more. Either way, he gets in the ring and he says he's not scheduled for a match here tonight, but, Cassius Ohno was talking crap on the pre-show and he called him out. Cassius comes out and says, you're too stupid to know you're not supposed to be out here right now, but, let's do this. Well, bell rang. Cassius tries to get the jump on Riddle. Riddle runs to the middle of the ring, catches him with a knee. 1, 2, 3. That's the end of the match. What the hell did we just see? So, from what I heard, they didn't advertise this to be a match because their thought process was if we advertise Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ohno and then we have this, they'll be disappointed. But if we don't advertise it and it's like spontaneous, whatever, and it just happens, they'll get behind it. And they did. I mean, the crowd enjoyed it for what it was. So,
yeah,
it worked.
I'm a Cassius Ohno fan, so I didn't really enjoy it that much, but
yeah. I like both of these guys. I don't like the way that, Cassius is being booked right now. I do, and I've been saying this since day one, his day one in NXT, is he needs to go on a diet and exercise regime, because, man, does he look portly. I
thought he had some sort of health condition where it's, really hard for him to lose weight.
Well, if that's the case, then I apologize for all that, but, he's always been flabby, but he was at least somewhat skinny in the past. Now he's just, large. He looks like he's getting bigger. And I don't it's kind of weird seeing a portly dude in trunks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But whatever. I don't know. But he's a fantastic wrestler. I've always been a big fan of Cassius Ohno. And he's bigger, height-wise than you would think, too. I didn't notice it until he came to WWE. But either way. But our next match, this one was the shortest match of the night. This one was the 2 out of 3 falls match, Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane. It went 10 minutes, 55 seconds.
Yeah.
This one... go ahead.
As for a 2 out of 3 falls match, I mean, that's probably my only complaint about the match is that I just really wanted it to be longer.
Right.
Like, it seemed like they kind of rushed it a little bit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a few people felt that way. I enjoyed the match. I'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane. I mean, I haven't seen a bad match between those two yet.
No,
so.
And I think Shayna's getting better and better and better every time I see her. And her versus Kairi is always a good match. So that's kind of a given.
That kind of reminds me of what we saw from like Ember Moon and Asuka, except it wasn't like so lopsided in terms of the results, but
right,
quality wise.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're going into this real quick. Letting you all know, if you have never heard one of our review episodes before, I do rank all the matches, I rate all the matches on a scale of 1 to 5, or 0 to 5, as it would be, and I don't rate them with stars like a certain person on the internet that's very famous for doing so. I rate them by Uncle Dave's. So this women's title match, I rated it 3 Uncle Dave's. I don't know how you feel about that rating on the scale there, Kyle.
No, I would agree with that. Like I said, the only thing, like my only complaint is just it was so short, especially for our best 2 out of 3 falls match.
Right. I feel that the rating got brought down a little bit because of all the shenanigans. Whatever. I like the shenanigans, but it was what it was. We'll get into the match here in a second. The reason I didn't rate the first match was because it was 7 seconds. It was a flying knee, and that was it. What is there to rate? So, whatever. But I'm going off of Wikipedia here for the results, letting you all know. Getting into it, Baszler scored the first fall by making Sane tap to the Kirifuda clutch after interference from Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir. Sane evened the score when she performed the insane elbow on Baszler. Well, the cool thing about this was all 3 of the horsewomen there were outside of the ring, and Kairi got up to the top rope and did a diving insane elbow to the outside on top of all 3 of them. It was fantastic. And then she rolled Baszler into the ring and then hit another one on the downed Baszler. But in the end, Duke and Shafir tried to interfere again, only for Dakota Kai and Io Shirai to stop them. Io Shirai comes out in, all the women are wearing street clothes, by the way. Io comes out in jeans, gets up top, she hits that flippin' flying moonsault to the outside, and that was holy crap, that was a beautiful moonsault with jeans, man.
Oh, yeah.
That impressed me.
Move. Yeah, that's a difficult move to do in any wrestling attire, much less jeans, so.
Right, yeah. And where is... I'm trying to see where the Royal Rumble is taking place this year.
Arizona. Where the Arizona Diamondbacks play. Right,
Phoenix. Okay, TakeOver Phoenix. That's the next one that they're going to have. Well, I assume it's going to be a 6-woman at TakeOver Phoenix between these women. It seems like that's what they're setting it up for. So, but either way, in the end, Sane attempted the insane elbow on Baszler, only for Baszler to catch her arm and roll her up to retain the title. Good solid match. Good way to end it. She caught her. Both of them still look strong at the end. They set up the feud. The 3 horsewomen there seem strong. I thought it was good. Good opener. Well, technically an opener. That takes us into match 2 of the night. It was 18 minutes and 10 seconds. It was the second shortest match of the night, if you don't count the opener there, which I don't. It was Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano. Johnny was full heel. Aleister was in full ass-kicking mode. This match was great.
Yeah, probably my favorite match on the entire card.
I definitely liked it. It was... I don't know. I don't know if it was my favorite match. I mean, maybe? I don't... It's hard to pick for me. I don't know. I gave this one, if I can pull my ratings up here again, I gave this one 4 Uncle Daves out of 5. And speaking of Uncle Dave, he kind of, while he said he enjoyed this match and it was a fantastic match, and then he played up, talk about, well, Aleister Black is really good, but, Johnny Gargano is just so effing great and whatever. Then he turns around and he's like, well, he downplays it. Because he's like, well, if you like this kind of stuff, then you'll love, watching New Japan. And, they have these kind of matches all the time over there. And I'm like, oh, it's like, bite me, Dave. Just say it was good and move on. But whatever.
We all know that he has such a, what's the appropriate term to use here? Something for New Japan.
Yeah, he has a swelling in the crotchal area for New Japan. We'll just say that.
Yes, that is what I was referring to. Yes.
Yeah, and I love New Japan, but good God, dude, calm down. But either way, according to this, and if you haven't seen Aleister's entrance vest for this one, it's great. He's got like horns and crap all over. I loved it. But let's see. Gargano performed a slingshot DDT for a near fall. Black hit a diving Meteora for a near fall again. Gargano applied Gargano escape, but Black touched the ropes. In the end, Black performed 2 consecutive Black masses on Gargano to win the match. It was fantastic. There was a spot in there where he was going to, where Johnny, pronouns, was going to go for the running knee that he did in when he was part of DIY. I always want to call him DUI. I don't know. But when he was part of DIY, and Aleister was like sitting up on his knees like normal, and then he drops down into his is it appropriate to say Indian style sitting now, or is that like non-PC? I don't know. Don't care. Either way. Sitting cross-legged Indian style.
All the more reason to say it if it's not PC.
Yeah, why not? Whatever. I don't think we're going to offend anybody. Either way, he sits Indian style, and he's like, come on, do it. And Johnny goes for it. He misses, and he rolls Johnny up, and it was just great. Everything in this match was crisp. It was great. I love both of these guys. Fantastic match. As I said, I gave it 4 Uncle Daves. Next match. This one went 22 minutes, 25 seconds. I believe it was the best match of Velveteen Dream's career. It was Tommaso Ciampa defending the NXT Championship against Velveteen Dream. This one I also gave 4 Uncle Daves. It was stupendous.
Yeah.
I love both of these guys.
Both of these matches, the one we just talked about and this one, I thought had really, really good storytelling, and just I think both of them. It's like Velveteen Dream and Tommaso Ciampa. It's all Gargano and Aleister Black. It's like I guess they felt challenged by that and had to go out there and try to top it. I don't know which match was better, but I mean both of these, they both brought it.
Oh yeah. They played a game of one-upsmanship, the 2 former members of DIY. It was great. Tommaso is like one of the best pure heels I've seen in years outside of The Miz, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for that one, but whatever. The Miz was now so-so, but there for a while he was a fantastic heel, and Tommaso is just perfect. He knows how to get heat. He does it the right way. He's great. I love it. These two had a fantastic teardown match. The best part of the match was Velveteen Dream came out dressed like Hollywood Hulk Hogan. That was great. And I wasn't expecting it, but this was like event number 2 that he's come out in a Hulk Hogan inspired attire. So good for him. It was great. But Ciampa performed Project Ciampa for a near fall. Dream performed the Purple Rainmaker on Ciampa for the near fall again. I thought that was the end. Dream attempted a second Purple Rainmaker again on the ring apron, but Ciampa moved and crash and burn for the Dream. And then we see Ciampa throws him in, or rolls him in, rather, and he hit a draping DDT kind of on to the steel there between the rings. It kind of held the rings together so that people didn't step between them and break something. But yeah, he hit the DDT right on that, rolled him in, 1, 2, 3, end of the match. That was great. They didn't spam their finishers, but there were quite a few near falls. I loved it. There was one point where Ciampa grabbed Morrow's writing pad and whipped it at him, and he starts yelling at Morrow for talking trash on him and everything. It was great.
Oh yeah,
just everything Ciampa does, man, is great. I can't put over this guy enough, and I love Velveteen Dream. Don't get me wrong, but Velveteen.
Makes me wonder.
Oh, go ahead.
That spot you talked about with Mauro Ranallo at the announce table. Was that something they did right there on the spot, or was it planned? Either way, it was.
I have a feeling it was improvised, because Tommaso's always thinking, and he's always, he's always doing something. It was good. I liked it. I love everything he does. Everything he does makes sense, and it's for a reason. And I know I'm gratifying myself to Ciampa right here, but it's still I've never been a bigger fan of Tommaso Ciampa than I am right now. I'll say that. So yeah, and we'll see where it goes with the kind of the triangle, if you will, between Ciampa, Black, and Gargano now, because Gargano's not going to stop coming for him. However, Aleister Black is clearly next in line for Ciampa. I don't know who the hell else would be. But yeah. This next one is the main event. It was WarGames, and it was the only match that you and I didn't pick correctly on the night. Did you notice that?
Yeah, that was...
All of our predictions came true, except for this one. We picked the Undisputed Era. They did not win. Instead, the victors were the team of Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders, Hanson and Rowe. This match, I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but it was really, really long. Really long. It was 47 minutes and 10 seconds. Mother of God. They could have trimmed, 5-10 minutes off of this match, and I still would have... I mean, I loved it either way, but god dang, it went on forever and a day. I had a baby during this match.
Congratulations.
Right.
So I heard, the only thing that annoyed me about this is that at the very beginning, when everybody was still getting in the ring, they were like, "Well, the match hasn't even officially started yet," but they're allowed to go in there and beat the hell out of one another.
Yeah, the War Games haven't officially begun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the way it's always been, but they I don't know, I feel like they pushed it more this time around. Don't get me wrong, I loved this match. However, I don't think it was as good as last year's. I mean, how do you feel about it? So last year's was so different because it was 3 teams of 3 instead of 2 teams of 4, and which has never been done before. And it was just, I don't know, it was different. It was shorter. I felt it was more clean and crisp. I don't know. I really loved last year's match, and I loved this year's, but I felt like last year's was better. But that's just me.
I don't really know. I mean, I've seen both of them. I enjoyed both of them, so honestly, I don't know which one was better.
I'm sticking with last year's, but not to crap on this one. But yeah, I again gave the only match that didn't get 4 Uncle Daves out of me was the opener. They got 3. But the Black and Gargano match, Ciampa and Dream, and then the War Games, I gave them all 4 Uncle Daves. So I felt that they were all, great quality for what they were. Because this, I mean, you can't compare the War Games to a one-on-one match between 2 great workers.
No.
But for what it was, I felt it was a 4-star match. Or, 4 Uncle Dave's match. Gimmick infringement, pal. Getting into the actual match, though, instead of just talking about it. Let's see. It was, as we said, the 4 members of the Undisputed Era against Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders. Pete Dunne and Ricochet had war paint on, kind of matching white war paint, whatever. So that looked cool. All of them had matching colors on. It was black and red. That was nice. They looked like a team. The Undisputed Era all had yellow and camouflage style attires, which looked cool. Going into this match, I did not know this. Pete Dunne has like something messed up in his foot that he's recovering from. I don't know if he had surgery, needs surgery, whatever. He's got a broken foot or had a broken foot. So I didn't notice.
They were talking about that during the match.
Wow, I missed that part. So, in my defense, did I watch? Okay, no, I did watch it on delay, but I was like watching it while I was working, so I was like doing multiple things at once. If that's an excuse, but yeah. Either way, he was working hurt, and Bobby Fish was also working hurt. He just came off a knee surgery, came back sooner than he probably should have. I hope this is his last match for a little while to kind of recover a bit more. He had to be helped to the back, but Triple H says he's okay. So, I don't know.
And that's quite a match to have while injured or recovering from an injury.
Yeah. Oh, I just had surgery. Throw me in a cage with a bunch of weapons and 7 other guys. Yeah. Well, this was a more traditional WarGames match other than the lack of roof on the cage, which I'm still fine with because we get cooler stuff that way. But we'll get into...
And that throws in that stipulation to where, if somebody leaves if somebody climbs out of the ring or climbs out of the cage, that, you're forfeiting the match for your team. So there's always that. Right, yeah. Which is cool. I dig it. I talked about that before. I'm definitely in favor of that. Let's get into the actual match at hand, though. Adam Cole and Ricochet began the match for their respective teams. Ricochet, Pete Dunne could be, a workhorse, but like I said, he's working with a broken foot or, formerly broken foot. So I don't know if you want to put him in there the whole match. I feel that they made the right decision. Any member of the Undisputed Era, I feel, could have been that guy, except for Bobby Fish because he's working hurt. However, I feel that they made the good decision with Cole. Definitely workhorses there. After 5 minutes, Kyle O'Reilly of the Undisputed Era joined the match. Seemed like there was a kind of a mix-up between him and Roddy about who was going to go first. But they were like, yeah, you go. And Kyle went in. 3 minutes after, Hanson would join the match. But the thing there was, and it didn't turn into anything, at least at the event, but Pete Dunne was going to go, and Hanson and Rowe pushed him back, and Hanson went, and Pete Dunne was looking like, what the hell? We'll get into that because it happened again. But Hanson would join the match. The following 3 minutes, Roderick Strong joined the match. It was good that they left Bobby Fish until the last. I noticed they left both injured guys till the last, which was good. Another 3 minutes, Rowe joined the match. However, like I said, he kind of hung back, or he pushed Pete Dunne back because it looked like Pete was going to go, and he pushed him back, and he went again, and Pete was left looking like, what the hell? But he hit O'Reilly and Strong with a power slam and a power bomb, respectively. After another 3 minutes, Bobby Fish got out of the cage and locked Pete Dunne. He grabbed Pete Dunne's arm and smacked his face into the cage, and then he took his chain from his cage, locked it around, locked it with his key, and then he threw the key into the crowd so they couldn't get Pete Dunne out. And the solution they came up with, I don't know why they didn't come up with this while everybody's sitting around, fiddle-dicking, but it was stupid, but we'll get into that in a minute. Bobby Fish then
brought customized chairs for the Undisputed Era into the ring. They had their logo on them. I don't know why, but they did. 3 minutes afterwards,
our chairs. Nobody else can use them but us.
Yeah, don't touch these. All right, they literally have our names on them. 3 minutes afterwards, the referees attempted to unlock Dunn's cage, but failed to do so, as the Undisputed Era and Dunn's cages used different keys for the individual locks, and the referee seemed confused that he couldn't unlock the damn thing with the same key. And then finally, they get bolt cutters. And I'm like, okay, you clearly knew where these things were. You clearly had them. Why didn't you try to do this before it was time for him to get out of the cage?
Last resort? I don't know.
Wrestling logic, man. He should have... Well, why didn't the referee try to unlock that first lock beforehand and see if his key worked? But no, he wasted... Whatever. Either way... Dunn then left the cage and ran into the ring, and Fish and O'Reilly holding the cage door closed, but Dunn brought out a kendo stick and attacked their fingers, with Dunn proceeding to bring chairs, tables, trash cans, a steel chain, and kendo sticks into the ring for his team. Cole reversed the bitter end into a DDT and hit Dunn with a last shot for a near fall. I was kind of skipping around here. He went for another...
I love how we had a combination of WCW and ECW.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. It was a little bit of like, have you ever seen Lethal Lockdown in TNA? Okay, well, it was one cage and one ring, but the thing is, it had rules exactly like WarGames, but once everybody was in the cage, then they would count down a timer, and instead of somebody else entering, at the end of the timer, they'd bring down the roof of the cage, and the roof had weapons dangling from it.
Yeah.
So, and it was a great match. I liked it. It was clearly a ripoff of WarGames, but it was still cool.
Sounds like the Ambrose Asylum match we saw. What was it, last year before that, with the Ambrose and Jericho?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But this was like the WarGames rules where like two people from each team start off and then somebody else enters and so on and so forth. You know, so it was like that. But it was, like I said, it was only one cage, so it was kind of a cluster at times, but you were allowed, like, people broke out of the cage all the time. AJ Styles one year, laid, I want to say, James Storm on a table, and he hung from, they were always in, you know, like that sound stage, so the roof was kind of low, and he hung from the rafters and, like, dropped down on top of James Storm on the table on the roof. So just crazy stuff like that happened all the time. I think Jeff Hardy did something similar to that one time. It was good. But getting back to this, flipping, the two spots I remember sticking out the most in my mind were, three. There was one, there was like stereo. Ricochet hit one member of the Undisputed Era with a Super Hurricane Rana into one ring, while Pete Dunne was hitting like a super, like, single arm suplex off into the other ring. And there was another one where all 8 men got like each other in like a combination superplex power bomb off of the side of the cage. That was insane. Oh, I'm sorry, 7 men, because Ricochet was like up in the corner of the cage. And that led to the other crazy spot, because after they all did that, gave everybody time to recover, everybody stood up, and Ricochet hit a double moonsault off the top of the cage. So he backflipped twice. He damn near didn't hit it. It was a little scary there for a moment. But he hit it. It was insane. Ricochet is a crazy man, but by God, he's awesome. The one and only, man. But either way, the end of the match, Cole went for another attempt at a last shot, but Dunne reversed it into the bitter end. Then Ricochet hit a 450 splash, and both of them covered Cole for the win. I was shocked to see the Undisputed Era lose here. And they kind of played it up at the end. You know, Pete Dunne's looking at the North American title, kind of like, I want that. And Ricochet is kind of looking at the UK title like, I want that. And then they both pose at the top of the cage together. It was great. I loved it. All in all, I give NXT TakeOver WarGames 2 thumbs up. I don't know about you.
I agree. Very good show. I believe I say this every time we review a TakeOver event, but I'm yet to see a bad one.
Yep. Oh yeah. It's great. I was thoroughly impressed. The next one, as we talked about, January 26th, NXT TakeOver Phoenix will be at the real name, Talking Stick Resort Arena in Phoenix, Arizona. Wow. Yeah. It was formerly known as the American West Arena, formerly known as the U.S. Airways Center. Now it is the Talking Stick Resort Arena. Okie doke.
Yeah, that's quite a name there.
That might be in first place for worst arena names now. I gotta make a list of like the worst. That's up there with Smoothie King Center and the PPG Paints Arena and the KFC Yum Arena. KFC Yum Center.
Sounds like a future list that you and Greg should do, like the worst names of arenas of hosted wrestling.
Oh, God. Yeah, right. Well, that is that. Next, we will be moving on to Survivor Series. And we will get Greg on the line here before long as well to talk about, he was there with Ramon to see the event live. Both these events, actually. So we'll get his take, and we'll talk a little bit about what went down, what transpired on Raw and SmackDown as well. We're going to take a quick break right here. Before we do, I do want to let you know how you can advertise with the podcast to become a member of the society. If you want to advertise with the podcast, go to advertisecast.com/podcast Wrestling Society. There you can see all the stats about the show. You can see our social media outreach as well as the outreach of the podcast itself. You can see our demographics, an About Me section about the podcast, and about me, your loving leader, benevolent host, and Midwest monster. You can also see just about any stat you want to know about the podcast. You can also see our rates for 15, 30, 60, and 120-second promos. We will take your commercial, we'll take your promo, whatever you're advertising, whether it's yourself, a product, your podcast, or whatever, we'll hook you up. We'll also do some live reads if that's what you want us to do. Definitely go to advertisecast.com/podcast Wrestling Society. You can also email me directly at JapaneseProWrestling@gmail.com or hit me up on social media. The tags are at PodResSociety. And now that we're done peddling our wares, we're going to take a quick break right here, let you know about some other great podcasts here on the Drama City Productions Podcast Network. When we return, it's all about Survivor Series. Teams of 5 strive to survive. Right after this.
DramaCityProductions.com.
Small Town Mentality Podcast with your host, Ben. A podcast about nothing and everything. A podcast where we get together with friends, drink beer, and see where the conversation takes us. We don't edit. We don't care what people say. It's small town people with a small town mentality. It gets offensive at times, lots of swearing, and a whole lot of not caring. Available everywhere you get podcasts. You can find us on Twitter at STMPod, on Instagram at STMPodcast, and on Facebook at Small Town Mentality Pod. We'll see you there.
DramaCityProductions.com.
This is Conversations with Paycheck and Red, a weekly podcast with two good old boys talking about anything and everything that crosses their mind. You may not know what you're going to get with an episode of Paycheck and Red, but you sure know you don't want to miss it. So do what you got to do. Download the app, find the episodes online, and make sure that you don't miss 1 second of Conversations with Paycheck and Red.
DramaCityProductions.com.
Game ticket, $50. Hot dog, $8. Team store item, $25.
I told him I can beat him with one hand tied behind my back, with some glasses on, with one eye lens out, with some flip-flops on in the ring.
Haven't you listened to someone's dumb sports opinions? Worthless. Some people shouldn't talk sports. For everyone else, there's the Unspoken Podcast, available on most podcasting platforms, and on the web at theUnspokenSportsPodcast.weebly.com.
Drama City Productions presents.
Hey, it's Ben here, host of the Regular Stories Podcast, a podcast where I interview interesting people about their lives. These are not celebrities, they're not the elite. These are regular people, and these are their stories. You can follow us on Facebook at Regular Stories and on Instagram at Regular Stories. We are everywhere that you can get a podcast. We are on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, just about everywhere else. Look up Regular Stories Podcast.
All right, we are back from the break, and we are back now with a man who was there in person. Kyle is still here, obviously, but now we are here with Greg as well. What up, Greg?
What up?
How was L.A.?
Oh, it was fantastic. Nice and sunny, of course.
And far away from all the fires.
Yeah, not as far as you'd think. There's some down there, too, but the air quality was surprisingly good.
Well, that's good.
It's odd for L.A.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I've never been that far west. But speaking of being there, you and I were talking about this. Kyle and I were talking about this. Kyle and I might make a road trip next year to meet you at the airport in Chicago, because next year in Chicago should be Survivor Series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah. And Kyle,
we can pull this off. That would be great if we can.
Yeah, right. I know. And I don't want to go alone. Driving alone, you know what I'm saying? That'll be a 5-hour drive by yourself. Gets a little tedious, but whatever.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're able to go. But yeah, into actual Survivor Series. Kyle, you and I talked about this a little bit off air. And I talked a little bit with you about it, Greg. Match quality-wise, I thought this was a great show.
I did too. I thought it was one of the better ones in years.
Booking, however, me and Kyle kind of agreed it was a little confusing, certain aspects. After watching Raw and SmackDown, a little bit of it, I don't know, the gears are kind of turning in my head and whatever. I made sense of some of the booking. Some of it, I'm still waiting to see how it pans out, but it is what it is. However, match quality wise, I enjoyed all the matches. There was only 2 matches that I was so about, but all in all, I gave this one some good marks. And not the kind of marks that read a certain Uncle Dave publication.
Yeah, they were all there too.
Yeah, we heard them all booing Ronda 2 nights in a row for whatever reason.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest surprises of that entire night. I can't believe they would do Ronda Rousey over Charlotte.
It was just a pro Becky crowd, that's all.
Yeah, and I get it. However, it's like Ronda had nothing to do with any of this. I don't know. Maybe they read her. Maybe it was a bunch of millennial men and they didn't like her crap talking on Twitter. I don't know.
Well, I suffer from penis envy too, apparently.
What the hell? There was an actual quote from her, which I don't quite understand, but it is what it is. We'll get to all the Ronda and Charlotte and Becky, whatever, here in a bit. This was the pay-per-view that wasn't supposed to happen, because there were a few matches on here that were just changed at the last freaking second. I mean, they were good, and I enjoyed the changes, but it was just last-minute changes, so I don't know.
Yeah, one of them, I completely understood why they had to change. The other one, I didn't hear any rumors or anything about it. It just kind of came out of left field.
Yeah, I know. Well, starting off with the pre-show match here, I thought this was one of the best pre-show matches we've seen on any show in a long time.
And no coincidence, it had the Usos in it.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, the last time we saw a really great pre-show match that was at least as good was the Usos and the New Day, I think.
Yeah, which I said was the match of the year last year.
Yeah, so it was great. I mean, unfortunately, according to storyline, this match didn't freaking count for whatever reason.
Well, they brought it up on SmackDown.
I know.
The New Day wore a 6-in-1 shirt.
I know, I saw that. I thought it was funny. That was another thing, just real quick. Why do we, every holiday, why do we have to have stupid gimmick match street fights? Every
Because,
time.
Really?
Shut up and accept it. Move on.
Yeah.
That's the rule. We've all accepted it.
Well, they need to have a match on the. They have one on the 4th of July where they shoot off fireworks. And
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that might be a little much.
No pyro. No pyro, pal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they can't afford that. I'm sorry. I forgot about that.
Yeah, my bad. Well, unless the Saudis are paying for it.
Yeah.
Hey, we don't say Saudi, all right? We don't. No, it was just Crown Jewel.
No, my bad.
We're gonna get pyro, and we're gonna make the Saudis pay for it.
Oh man. Well, you gotta say.
Holy crap!
You gotta say. We're gonna have all the pyro, and we're gonna make the Saudis pay for it. Believe me, huge.
The show is gonna be huge.
Big league crown jewel. Anyway, moving on here. This match, Kyle and I talked about in our predictions. We got a rare Colognes sighting for a whole 3 minutes. Until
3 whole minutes?
Yeah, 3 minutes and 10 seconds, and then Primo got the Shadow Machine, and he was gone forever, bro.
Literally.
Yeah.
How were the Colognes in this match yet Heath Slater and Rhino weren't? I just realized that.
I didn't even think about that, but you got a good point. Are they on? Wait, they're on Raw, aren't
because
they?
Puerto Rico needs the money. Heath Slater's kids don't.
Yeah, they already got that above ground pool, so. But this match was really good. I felt it was very even as far as eliminations went. It came down to the Revival and the Usos. Let's see. They had the Uso splash on Scott Dawson to win the match for SmackDown, and we saw some rare moves. Like the Revival just keeps getting better, man. Like I mean, Scott Dawson caught his knee a little bit on that suicide dive, but I mean, one, that knee was braced to all hell. Two, we've never seen Scott Dawson do something like that, so that was awesome.
And I think we see Wilder do a tornado DDT.
Yeah, that was, and it was like a Chris Sabin style. Yeah, I pulled Chris Sabin's name out, but anyway, it was a Chris Sabin style one. It was great. Like the guys on 205 Live were applauding that one. That was awesome.
Flippy stuff, man.
Yeah, and they didn't technically flip, so their shirts still hold true.
Okay, well, one of them was a hashtag dive.
Yeah, it was, but their shirts don't say no dives; they say no flips. So they held true to the shirt, pal. But yeah, so that was the only victory for SmackDown on the night. If any of you, I know spoilers, but if you're listening to this and you are worried about spoilers, then you're dumb. I'm just saying that right now.
That's been how many?
Wow, way to alienate some people.
Well, why would you listen to a review show and be like, "Oh crap, I haven't seen. Oh no, they ruined it for me." Like whatever.
There's people out there that do that too, which is sad.
Yeah, I know. So
the Titanic sinks at the end, right?
Wow, God. Whoa, I haven't seen it yet. Damn it, man. But anyway, I gave this one 3.5 Uncle Dave's. I thought it was really good. Just shy of 4, but it was really good, especially for an opener. Like, damn. And when
when it's I'm picturing the half and Uncle Dave there.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. What half?
I'm not getting into it. But
is it the half I peed next to?
You peed next to both halves of him, so good for you. Got it in there. But anyway, it was great, and the fact that they had 20 men in this freaking match, and it was that good, made it even more impressive. Because if you watch the old ones, they were still good, but they were a little sloppy. This one was very crisp for having 20 men, and technically 21, because at one point in the match, Kalisto legit got hurt. I guess he twerked his knee or something, and Grand Metalik took his spot, which I'm still calling BS on. I was with Corey on that one. It's like, dude, like, you can't just switch out in mid-match. But apparently you can. And I like how Michael Cole tried to cover it. Oh, it's Freebird rules. The Freebirds didn't switch out mid-match. But whatever.
In other words, they're just telling us, just go with it.
Basically.
That's what they're trying.
Yeah, basically.
That just goes to show you that there are, like, really good tag teams on both brands. They just don't care about most stuff.
Yeah, I know. They're like, nobody cares about the tag teams, pal. Speaking of, ones that didn't get enough love, this one was my second lowest rated match of the night. We get into the Women's Survivor Series match, and it wasn't awful by any means. Like I said, I enjoyed every match on the card. But this begins the string of, if you didn't know, Raw sweeps the night. Basically what it comes down to is it was Nia Jax and Sasha Banks left on the Raw team. Sasha went up top, got shoved off by her own partner, and I can't remember, who did it come down to? Was it Asuka on the other team?
Asuka and Nia.
Okay. Yeah, so Asuka tapped her out, and...
Man, let me just tell you, man, the heat for Nia in that place was...
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, every time Nia was on camera, everybody in the crowd just, they let her hear it.
Yeah.
It was louder than it came off on TV.
Well, somebody...
heavy.
Brian Alvarez brought up, he was like, this is yet another instance of somebody legit hurting somebody else in the ring and getting pushed for it. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, yep.
Because you're a legit badass.
Yeah, I guess.
And they kept adding fuel to the fire on commentary. Like, they kept they're calling her the face breaker now. Like, they don't even
God,
it.
Yeah. Well, Coach on the pre-show apparently said it was a punch that actually connected. These words were said by Jonathan Coachman.
Wow.
Like, really? We get it, it's fake, but, like, don't just rub our nose in it. Like, Coach is bad. He's terrible at his job.
You don't say.
I mean, I know kayfabe has been dead for 20-something years, so someone, can we try to have some sort of,
Who is this kayfabe that you speak of? I'm not familiar with her.
He's a jobber in HCW.
Oh, my God. With Jimmy Soup Pants. Moving on. This one I gave 2.5 Uncle Dave's. It was right in the middle. We got the dance break from Carmella, which, it was early in the match, so it was like, whatever.
It's the first time in years she's danced in that arena.
Right. I forgot she used to be a Laker girl. Yeah. So.
Screw the Lakers. Anyway, sorry.
There was a little bit of mystery heading into this match, like who was the other person going to be on there for Team SmackDown, but it was.
Yeah, they just.
Probably wasn't a big shocker there. It was Mandy Rose. So if anybody was expecting like an NXT call up or anything, then let's just throw Mandy Rose in there. I'm not complaining on seeing Mandy Rose, but
they went with the obvious. I mean, I will say.
No, I'm so tired of seeing Mandy.
Said no one ever. Well, the thing was, I know why they did it, because apparently rumor has it that it was supposed to be Charlotte, and they switched gears at the last minute, and it was like, okay, well, it's clearly not going to be Charlotte, so it's going to be Mandy. But it's like they build it up. Who's going to be the woman? Who's going to be the fifth woman? It's like, it's just Mandy Rose. Like, okay, whatever. But yeah, so it was what it was. Like I said, it was an enjoyable match, but Nia gets the frickin' win, and she looks strong going into what I assume is going to be her title match at in San Jose at TLC.
And if I remember correctly, TJ, you and I were both wrong on this one.
We were, because we picked the women on this, yeah, because...
SmackDown.
Well, I hope you picked the women, because...
Or the SmackDown women. Yeah, god dang it. Yeah, SmackDown.
Yeah, I picked the man in this all-women's match, personally.
I did, yeah.
Like, I really thought Naked Medium was going to win.
Oh, God. He's going to teabag everybody, and they're gone forever, bro. God. All right, but anyway, this one went 18 minutes and 50 seconds. Not too long, not too long to where you're tired of seeing them out there. So, they didn't wear out their welcome. It was good for what it was. And the next match, this one went 21 minutes and 50 seconds. It had some really good time for a good build. Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura. This one I felt started a little slow. Like, I mean, the energy was clearly there in the crowd. It felt like they were really into it, but the match, I was like, eh. And then, like, halfway through it, I was like, okay, it's getting really good. And then by the end of it, I was like, all right, that was great. I gave it 3.5 Uncle Dave's.
Everybody was looking for Dean Ambrose the whole time.
Yeah, so was Kyle and I. We actually picked Nakamura because we thought Ambrose was going to cost him. But nope. We didn't see Ambrose until part way through Raw. So
yeah, no Ambrose whatsoever. That was surprising, and they had Seth go over clean after he said, a couple weeks ago on Raw that he really didn't give a damn about Nakamura.
Right. Well, and it was good. Nakamura's outfit was weird. He looked like a figure skater, but whatever. It's a little thing, and they do it every single freaking year, so I know it's coming, but the t-shirts have got to go, man. Like, we know who's for who. They're all color coordinated. The t-shirts look stupid. Especially, like, Charlotte wore hers under her gear, and Ronda, like, had hers, like, just across her back. I don't know. I thought it looked stupid. Like, everybody's out there in t-shirts. Like, we don't know what team they're for. I don't know. But it's just a little nitpicky thing. Anyway, yeah, like I said, this match was really good. About as good as I thought it would be. So, awesome. Next, we get the tag champs versus tag champs. This was my lowest rated match of the night. AOP versus The Bar. God.
Let me tell you, the crowd was not into it after the Enzo incidents.
Yes.
That one took it out of everybody. And it was like dead center right in front of me.
Wow, nice. Well, people got good camera shots of this one. For all of you that don't know, Enzo snuck in wearing a wig and a hoodie, and nobody noticed. It was the worst wig of all time, and he had a custom spinner title that said Real One on it, and it said Forever Champ. He stood
Forever.
Up. Yeah, Forever Champ. And he stood up and he took the hoodie and wig off mid-match, holding up the championship, stood on his chair, started yelling out his catchphrase. Apparently the crowd they weren't super into him at first, but then a security guard punched him, and then everybody turned on security.
No, they were heavily into him when he stood on that chair. That's a false report.
Oh, really?
Once he stood up, everybody in the arena looked at him or chanting for him.
Oh, God. Well, Kyle, you were watching on the network too. Like I said, I was doing like going between this and other things. Did it come across on the network like you heard a commotion or anything?
I actually don't remember hearing a whole lot of commotion during the match.
Yeah, same here. I didn't.
I don't think it happened like in the beginning of the match before it even started, I believe.
Okay.
Because Drake Maverick walked over to him and clearly acknowledged him.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, I didn't even know that. Well, for all of you out there that think this is a work, apparently it is not. They rushed his ass out of the building. Like I said, security punched him at one point. So whether intentional or not. So yeah, no love lost for Mr. #RealOne.
The sad thing is, this time 2 years ago, Enzo and Cass was my favorite tag team on the roster. Boy, how things have changed.
Yeah, now I never want to see either one of them ever again. I have no desire to see Real One or Large William. Sorry, I had to make that joke again. But yeah, this match was just meh. Just 4 big sweaty men beating the tar out of each other for a little while, which wasn't as fun as I thought it would be. I mean, the match didn't suck. It just wasn't great. I gave it 2 Uncle Daves. And the spot. Frickin' Drake Maverick gets involved. He gets chased around the ring by one of the members of the bar. Big Show shoulder checks him, knocks him down, picks him up by his throat on the apron, and he pisses his pants.
Yes, he brings, instead of the authors of pain, Drake Maverick became the author of piss that night.
Yeah, apparently.
The AOP.
Yeah. You're in big trouble.
That's funny, pal.
God dang. You know who the hell came up with this.
Vince was in the back laughing at himself at this whole thing.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what the hell? I saw it and just, like, shook my head and facepalmed. That's one of those moments that makes you embarrassed. Like, if you're with mixed company watching this and that comes up, you're like, yes, I'm a wrestling fan. I don't understand when you're trying to build up AOP and trying to build up Drake Maverick, why you would have him just, like, urinate all over himself on live pay-per-view. But
it was funny, pal.
I guess. Did the crowd even give a damn, Greg?
Oh, yeah, they were laughing their ass off.
Really? Because on TV, it just sounded dead. Like,
oh, they were laughing hard.
Wow. Okay. Well, then he has to go back on 205 Live, be the general manager, and act like a babyface. I don't know. WWE is freaking weird. That's all. It's just, none of the brands, like, know what the other ones are doing. But anyway, next we get into the Cruiserweight title match here. Buddy Murphy defends against Mustafa Ali. This one took a while to get going. You were even texting me about it, Greg. You were like, this match is boring. And then, like, halfway through, you're like, never mind, it just picked up. This is awesome.
Yeah, it did. The second half-ish.
When he hit that Spanish fly off the table?
Yep.
We actually got a This Is Awesome chant and a 205 Live chant, which is, like, shocked the hell out of me. But I think that's the first time in the history of that show we've gotten that.
Yeah. I think it was shocking that they put this match on the main show.
Yeah, in mid-show, too. It wasn't even like the opener. Shocked the hell out of me. I gave this one 3 Uncle Daves. You and I, Kyle, picked correctly. Buddy Murphy did win with the Murphy's Law, real name. But yeah, he hit the springboard V trigger when Mustafa tried to springboard onto him. Then he picked him up, hit Murphy's Law. 1, 2, 3, end of the match. He's got the Cruiserweight title and the hottest girl in wrestling. I hate Buddy Murphy.
I hate him more because he has that awesome title.
Oh yeah. The title, that's the most prestigious title in wrestling, Greg. You show some respect to the great purple silver title.
Oh, well, at least it's one of the more unique looking titles, unlike all the world titles and the women's titles.
That is true.
WWE advertisement, it looks like an actual championship belt.
I will say, I think the prettiest title.
Belt, pal.
I think the prettiest title they have, though, is probably the UK title. I love that belt. But I don't know.
I'm partial to the US title myself, but yeah, that's another good one.
Next, we get the Survivor Series men's elimination match. This one I gave 3 Uncle Daves. Man, they made SmackDown look weak here. I mean, when you got Braun Strowman, I guess, whatever. There was a lot of infighting with the Raw team. Lots and lots of infighting. And Shane about killed himself with that elbow through the table. Then he did another friggin' coast to coast to pin Dolph. He tried for another one, got swatted out of midair. Like, I think Shane McMahon is like bound and determined that he is going to die in that ring.
Hey, he's the best in the world, man. You got to.
Yep.
Yeah, show it off.
Yeah, he.
Let me tell you something. That coast to coast in person is freaking amazing.
I can imagine.
You can't appreciate that move until you see it in person.
Yeah, I can imagine. It looked cool. I mean, it always looks cool. He's now, I guess, using it as a finisher. But the thing is, man, he's pushing 50, and it's impressive that he's doing all this. But at the same time, it's also scary that he's doing all this because I'm like, we're gonna see the death of Shane McMahon one of these days, just like live on TV. Like, he's dead.
I wonder what his kids are thinking every time he does that.
They're probably crossing themselves like he does before he does the damn move.
Yeah.
Say a couple Hail Marys, kids. Daddy's tempting fate here. But yeah, it was decent. At the end, it comes down to 3 members of the Raw team still standing. All of SmackDown gets wiped out. And Braun gets, what's coming to him. Basically, the follow-up to that on Raw was Baron asked Stephanie, was like, well, you said if I had a good showing, you'd make me the full GM. She said, you're right. And she was about to, when all of a sudden Braun came out, big brawny sweaty pants came out to call him a slime ball and said he wanted his match against him at TLC. And the stipulation was he won't be held liable for anything that happens to him. And Stephanie McMahon actually said dismemberment is a company liability.
That's fair.
Which a lot of people pointed to and said, where did you just hold Crown Jewel?
Yeah, really. Huh?
That's, interesting choice of words. But anyway, I'll let it go.
They didn't hold it anywhere. It was just a Crown Jewel, wherever that was.
It was just in the Crown Jewel.
That's true.
The new place. Whatever. But, so that...
Back to the match real quickly here. I think one of the things that really bothered me was at the very start how quickly they got rid of Samoa Joe.
Yeah, that was the thing in the match that pissed me off the most. I was like, really? He was in for he was eliminated in 35 seconds. I
didn't even think it was bad. I thought he lasted as quickly as Cassius Ohno did against Matt Riddle.
Yeah, no, he lasted a whole 35 seconds. He went in, tried to coquina clutch Drew McIntyre, got him away, hit the Claymore kick, bam, building heat right out of the gate with this match. Just heat.
Hey, they could just give us no Samoa Joe at all, right?
They basically did. Where are we? L.A.? Where's Joe from? Close to the L.A. area? Gotta lose, pal. Lose quick. Why can't Joe cut a break, man? He is everything they've given him, he's knocked it out of the damn park. I want him to get his break so bad, man. He's so... He was, one of the best before he even went to WWE. And now he's still one of the best. And he's just so damn good. I don't know. I'm holding out hope. I'm trying to hold out. That's all I got.
Why doesn't Vince like him? He's a big, sweaty man. You'd think Vince would be all over that.
Because he's fat, pal. By God, just look at him. He's rotund. That's the only thing I can think of. Because, in the past, he said he didn't want to hire him because he was too fat. He was just a big fat Samoan. That was what he thought. So
he didn't have a problem with Yokozuna and Rikishi?
Well, that was different. Rikishi had that ass. And Yoko, he could, he was really big, so he could push him as a sumo. Either way, Braun Strowman wiped out the last 4 members of Team Raw by himself. In this order, Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio, The Miz, Shane McMahon. Getting back to what happened on Raw, though, they had a 6-man tag, and the match the match got thrown out because It was an elimination match. It went on for just ever. It went on for like days until they finally ended this damn thing. And then the three members of the one team teamed up on Braun, beat the tar out of him, and then Baron, quote unquote, smashed his elbow in the stairs. I guess the real thing is Braun has bone spurs, needs surgery. He's going to be out for a while. It's questionable if he will make TLC. But I can almost guarantee he'll be there.
So this was legit.
Yeah, he does have a legit, like, bone spurs, but I guess they can get it taken care of, and they want to do it now so that he has time to recover, and he might be at TLC. Are you going to that, by the way, Greg?
Hell yeah.
I figured. It's in your backyard, so it's going to be in the Shark Tank, pal. I don't know why I said that as Vince, but whatever.
I remember hearing Braun say, like, as like the grass and everything was working on him, he said something like he couldn't feel his fingers or...
Yeah, I don't know. I assume that was fake blood that they put on there. I don't think he bladed his arm, but I could be wrong. But, I mean, it looked good, you know. So they did 2 beat-down angles 2 nights in a row, but I understand this one they had to. So, you know, whatever. He will definitely take on Lesnar at Royal Rumble. That's that. But moving on to the last 2 matches here, we'll quickly get through these. This one is the big story of the night. It was the women's match, Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. By God, Charlotte beat the crap out of Rousey, and this was before the end. Like, she elbowed her in the frickin' face, bloodied her, just, like, I assume that, I mean, the crowd came off, like, super hot for this one on TV. Was it that way in the arena for you?
Yep.
Yeah, it was. They seemed loud. They seemed into it. It was great. I gave it 4 Uncle Daves, even with the schmoz finish. In the end, this ended, like, Kyle, you and I were right with Ronda winning, but neither one of us in a million years would have guessed this ending. In 14 minutes, 40 seconds, they were outside the ring. Ronda came around the side, and Charlotte just blasted her with a frickin' cane and then proceeded to beat her like she's owed her money. Like, she beat the brakes off of her. Yeah.
Owed her a lot of money, because...
Holy crap, right? If any of you have never seen that thing from Family Guy where Stewie, like, goes crazy on Brian, beating the tar out of him because he owed him money, look it up on YouTube. It's very similar, minus the flamethrower. It just, wow.
I'm sure Charlotte would have used one if she could have found one.
Probably. She used my only complaint was, like, she Pillmanized her by putting the chair over her throat and stomping on it, and then Ronda just, like, I don't know. I know it, it could, quote, make her look weak, but I feel like she should have been carried out or stretchered out or something like that after something like that. Or the very least, when she showed up on Raw the next night, not been talking normal like nothing happened.
Yeah, completely no-sold it. Like...
Yeah.
Oh, her body sold it enough. Didn't you see it?
Yeah, she was wrecked. You could tell.
Well, he's also a professional fighter and has been beat up before. I don't think it's so much of a no-sell thing.
Yeah, well, no, I get that, but she's never had a steel chair put around her throat and then stomped on. That was it
was clearly more on her chest, though. So.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. It's just, it was what it was. She cut a decent promo the next night on Raw. Charlotte, I guess, is a heel. Kind of. I don't know. She's kind of in the Becky realm now, where it's like she's a heel, but not a heel. I don't know.
I'll ask her tomorrow when we go to dinner.
Wow. Yeah, right. But all in all, it was great. These two had a fantastic match with each other. I'm looking for the future of this. I don't know if she's going to face Charlotte, because she's probably going to get Nia, she being Ronda, is probably going to get Nia.
Pronouns, pal.
Right. In San Jose, and it's San Jose is, close to where Nia is from, so Nia must lose. And then I assume Ronda's going to...
Screw San Diego.
Oh, I forgot, SoCal. But then I assume she'll get Charlotte at Rumble and then Becky at Mania, or they could be setting up for a 3-way at Mania. I don't know. Either way, very excited for the future of this. Yeah, and they made a way for Charlotte to get, because she was kind of cold coming out of that Becky thing, and they heated her up all over again. It's great. People are talking about it. She did not seem too happy with the crowd turning on her, though. Ronda, that is. They were...
Get over it.
Yeah. She looked kind of pissed on, like, when she was looking at the crowd on Survivor Series. The next night on Raw, she's trying to talk. The crowd is chanting for Becky the whole time.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That was...
If anybody was going to... The crowd was going to turn against. I'm really shocked it'd be Ronda Rousey. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's also an LA crowd. You need to take that into account.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Shayna Baszler commented on it on Twitter and said, yeah, WWE fans are fickle, but UFC fans are much worse. We're used to fickle.
Well, hell yeah. In Australia, they turned on Ronda Rousey when Holly Holm knocked her head off. Like, they cheered the hell out of her.
Yeah. Well, at that time, Ronda was, in terms of wrestling, Ronda was half heel anyway at that point after that whole Ultimate Fighter debacle. So, she came out looking terrible after that Ultimate Fighter. You and I both said the same thing. We were like, man, I hate Ronda now. Because Miesha Tate came out looking like the complete babyface in that one. And then she still lost big, but... whatever. Either way, I'm very excited for the future of these, the 3 women in this feud now. Main event. I gave the main event the WWE, or is the Universal Champion versus WWE Champion, Brock versus Bryan. It did not go the way I expected it to go. It actually went way better. It went 18 minutes, 50 seconds. I gave it 3 Uncle Daves.
I thought it was one of Brock's best matches he's had.
Yeah. This one and his Styles one I thought were great.
That goes to show you how good Daniel Bryan is, if he can get a good match out of Brock Lesnar nowadays. Yeah.
Well, Brock clearly likes Daniel.
I still think Brock can wrestle. I just don't think he does.
Yeah, he's...
he can. He just...
lazy.
Not to, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, it was great. I'm surprised it went for almost 19 minutes. Daniel was working...
Yeah, it sounds about... Yeah. I just feel like it went for a while.
Daniel was, both of them were doing effective heel work, even though Daniel was clearly favored by everybody because Brock is so freaking hated. The crowd at one point started chanting same old fecal matter.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice. At one point, Brock was like laughing about it, and he started yelling Suplex City, like trying to get the crowd to chant for him, and they just booed him. That was funny. But Bryan made it. Man, that first German suplex was scary. Bryan landed on the head/neck area. Not good. Bad.
Then, after that, when it's I guess Brock kind of decided right there, I'm just going to do mostly belly to belly from here on out. He did a couple more Germans, but...
Yeah, well, they speculated on Wrestling Observer Radio that maybe Bryan was trying to backflip out of, land on his belly, but didn't get the rotation and ended up landing on his head, which is scary as hell. But for the rest of it, he took the rest of the suplexes like a champ and landed perfect. It still looked brutal as all hell. But, yeah, they went back and forth, beating each other up. There at the end, Bryan was reversing everything there towards the end. It was great. The crowd was super into it. And then Brock picked him up at the end, F5, pinned him, and this one dude in the crowd has become a meme because he had this look on his face like, really? And then he just sat back down.
Yeah, I saw that finish coming from a mile away. They teased a couple of times that maybe Bryan was going to pull off the upset, but I just knew right when he had him in the S-lock the second time, I knew Brock was going to just get up and put him in the S5 and end it right then and there. So if
somebody actually thought he was going to win, come on. He wasn't going to win. but he had a really good showing. He looked strong going into his match with AJ at TLC for the WWE title.
And the best news about this whole match, something I was concerned about, Daniel Bryan didn't get hurt in this match. So
exactly, that was very good news. Just real quick before we wrap up the recap of just what the best thing that happened on SmackDown. He came out, just kind of solidified the fact that he's a heel. AJ was not seen again. Apparently he's negotiating his brand new contract with WWE. He apparently wants a Randy Orton style contract where he doesn't have to do house shows and maybe do a few lesser dates. So, that is what it is. But Daniel's best line was, "My dreams kicked AJ Styles in the balls."
Yeah, I was shocked that he actually said that they allowed him to.
I LOL'd. Yeah, it was great. I was like, what? It was great, though.
I love that promo, though. That's one of the best I've heard from him.
Yeah, it was great heel work. Great heel promo. I'm very excited for their rematch at TLC. TLC is heating up right now. Greg, you're going to 2 back-to-back pay-per-views, so good for you.
If the all goes right, it could be 3.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Royal Rumble. That's right. And Kyle, you and I are going to be at the Starrcade this weekend. We will let all of you know. Maybe we'll do a YouTube exclusive letting you all know how it went, because you will only get an hour of it on the network. So we'll do a YouTube exclusive letting you all know. And, and next week, though, Greg and I are going to bring you the Russo era of WCW, part 6 of probably 7. You think I'm safe with saying out of 7? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up in a couple of weeks, but next week, like I said, part 6. Thank you guys for joining me today.
Of course.
And we'll see you all later. Peace.
Later.
This has been a Drama City production.